This is HBR News number 430. Nashville Manifesto leak. Is kissing in Europe illegal now? Where we discuss the news of the week and give it the Badger treatment. But first, a little bit of a PSA from our boys in the country that are defending our rights and stuff. A message from the army.
Stand up!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. I hope you guys are doing well this week and that you're laughing at all of this absurdity so that you're not consumed by it. I am your host, Brian Martinez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Mike J and Hannah. Or not Mike J, but Dr. Ramifications and Hannah. Mike J is not in today. Well, we haven't heard from him yet, so he might be running late, or there might be some technical problem, which we did have before the show began because of something that I was working on. So I apologize, but I think you'll find it's kind of fun what I've done. It just kind of creates a little bit more of a workaround. So anyway, we have a great show lined up for you guys this week. We're going to be talking about, it's basically like an update week. We're going to be talking about the Sam Bankman-Fried sort of saga of the money launderer and like what happened with him. Steven Crowder has leaked the manifesto of the Nashville shooter yesterday, caused a giant fuss. I think we should definitely delve into that a little bit. And then there was the Spanish kiss that essentially shook the world and caused it was the talk of the Women's World Cup. It was more important than the cup itself and more. So stick around. It's going to be a good time. And be sure to join us afterwards for the patron only show. So on this week's patron only show, I have this article from metro.co.uk that I thought I would read. Sometimes it's always good to do some Gamergate stuff. So this is basically a rant by a contributor to metro.co.uk entitled Gamer Entitlement and the Devaluation of the Games Industry, a rant. So I guess we will look and see what they have to say about that. If you want to join us in the patron show, you have to become a Badger yourself by going to feedthebadger.com and setting up a monthly subscription. $5 a month will get you into our Discord, where you'll be able to participate in all of the additional content, including our patron shows. But there's lots of other stuff going on as well. I understand that Allison is in the process of learning to play Final Fantasy 14 or something. I'm not into MMOs because I don't have that kind of time, but she does appear, like the patrons are getting into it. So these are the kinds of things people will kind of mess around with in the patron space. So, go to feedthebadger.com and become a member. Or if you just want to take a little tour and look around, you can do so for free by going to badgernation.online. And if you don't want to wake up one morning to find that we have been gone from the internet, Minecrafted, whatever, go to badgerfeed.com or honeybadgerradio.com. And I wanted to say something else because Mike and I were talking about this. So Mike and I want to get together on the Saturday of the weekend of International Men's Day. So that's like the 18th. Well, the 17th is the day itself, which is the week after this coming Friday. And we want to do a meetup. And I have some places we could go and meet up and hang out, that involve food and drinks. And so I would like to put out the call to any of you that are interested. If you want to come down to Roanoke, I will put all of the relevant information so that we could meet up. But let us know if you have any interest in hanging out with. It'll be myself, Dr. Ramifications, Lauren Brooks, and Lindsay, and maybe JoJo, depending on where we end up. You at least get to see him a little bit. So please, let us know your thoughts. I don't know if this is a little too informal, Mike, but I just thought I would put it out there. Mike, are you there? Oh shit, did I lose him? Did I lose them? Wait, who's this? Who's this? What happened to you guys? Oh shit, something happened. I may have to like make a password for this. All right, hold on a second, guys. I apologize. Why is it that I'm alone? Okay. So I'm going to just go into the live show. Oh, wait, somebody's here. Who's this? Who are these people? Yeah, you're back. Okay, what were you saying now?
Hello.
Oh, yeah, you're both back. Okay, what
Oops.
happened? Oh,
Okay.
all right. Well, I don't know why that happened.
I can't hear Brian if Brian is talking.
Oh,
Oh,
God
no.
damn it.
Oh,
It was fine for a minute.
okay. So I might have to do a little looking around
Just,
from this.
just
but-
reload the link, Hannah. Just use that
Yeah,
link.
try to
that,
refresh-
Brian posted
Let's
in
do
this
again.
Discord.
refresh
This
it.
is like my
Reload
fourth
it.
or fifth time reloading. Hang
Close
on a
the
minute,
old
guys.
All right. Sorry about this. This is imperfect new technology. So basically what I did was I have this tool that lets me essentially create separate audio channels for each person in the call so that I can send each audio channel to their cartoon avatar. So when I talk, my avatar's mouth moves. When Mike talks, his avatar's mouth moves, and so on. But like it's okay, yeah. So Mike, are you still there?
Hooray!
All right.
Yes, I'm still here. Can you still hear me?
Yes. Oh no, what? Why?
What?
All right.
Oh, God.
All right. So you can't hear Mike, but Mike can hear you. You can hear me. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's weird that it's only happening to you, but I don't know why that is. So maybe we can just move to the live show and do it the old-fashioned way this time.
I mean, I only just did reload, but okay, I'll try it one more time.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean, but I don't know. Can you guys see this though? Okay, what's what? Yes. Tree. I don't know. I was pretty. I worked on this. I mean, yeah. You should be able to hear everybody. You can hear me? Yes, I can. All right. So. No. I did. Why? What is that? Okay. All right, we're just going to go into live show chat. I don't want to like delay this anymore. So, I'll figure this out at a later date and we'll try again. But I'm going to end the call and we're going to go into the live show chat. So, bye-bye. And I'm going in there. All right, I'm in here. You guys should be able to hear me still just fine. And we will figure this out. We will endeavor to figure this out somehow. So just waiting on Mike and Hannah to get in here. It's a shame though, really. I had something. I have something special. I tried it out with Karen and Allison like the other day, and it was fine. It worked, fine. But I don't know. Maybe there's something that I'm missing. So I'm not gonna get mad. I'm not gonna blame anybody. I'm just gonna carry on. Yes, welcome. Hannah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I guess we're just gonna do it this way, and I'll wait for Mike to join us.
Mike is still a ninja too. He's in the live show. We're just you can't.
What?
Okay, hang up on this, and then try.
What do you want to hang up on? What? On this?
No, not you, Mike.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, this is fun.
The blast. It's all right.
All of a sudden, he can't get into the live show. Like
He can't get in
this
here?
is really, yeah,
What?
That's
That doesn't
very
make
weird.
sense. That's super weird.
yeah.
I think the feds are behind this. All right. Well, anyway, I promise if we meet up in real life, we won't have issues like this because you couldn't possibly mess that up.
Holy
so,
fuck!
we
God.
still until Mike gets in, I'll just carry on. And what we'll do is we're going to do a meetup. Friday the 17th is International Men's Day. That is a week from this coming Friday. And what we would like to do is do a meetup. And I will be in Roanoke, and Mike and Lauren, the idea is that they will come down here. They did over the summer, and hang out with us. And while we're here, we'll meet up with anyone who wants to come out here. I know it's, a little out of the way, but maybe if you're around and you're willing to make the trip, it's really a nice little city. And Paul Elam is here too. So we could also get him on board, possibly, and hang out with him too. So if you want to see Dr. Ramifications, Paul Elam, myself, Lauren, Lindsay, and JoJo, then let us know in the comments if that is something that you would like to do.
Yeah, it's way too short notice for me. I'm on the schedule through, my work schedule is made 3 months ahead.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna happen. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all right. That is way too in short notice, and I understand that. This was kind of we kind of spontaneously decided this, so a little last minute. But anyway,
it is what it is.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll go ahead and get started on the stories. I'm just gonna see is Mike coming, or because I hung up the ninja thing, so he shouldn't. He should have. I mean, I don't know why he didn't get kicked out, but I found pumpkin spice beer. Doc loves it. Lauren is in the chat, saying that. So, hi, Lauren. Tell Mike to close that out and just hang up and come into the Discord chat. So, he's on the way. Okay. All right. Anyway, sorry about the stress. Let's get into the stories. There's only 3, so it's not really that big of a deal. Unfortunately, Mike J isn't around. So first, we're going to be talking about Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried is, in case you don't know, this guy who is on the hook for money laundering, tons of money. You can see here who he is. And I'm not a financial expert or whatever, but I thought this was something that we definitely reported on before because it involves a lot of corruption and stuff. And I thought, we might as well follow up on it. So this is kind of a little one, not super crucial, but I think, for people interested in the financial world, this is definitely something you all should know. Let me know if everything sounds okay, by the way, if you can hear me. I can see that my audio is going out. And Hannah's is as well. So
it sounds good.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just making sure that the audience can hear it. Okay. So as the trial of Sam Bankman-Fried comes to an end, a jury has found him guilty on all charges. Bankman-Fried has been found guilty of 7 counts of wire fraud, security fraud, and money laundering, and is facing a sentence of possibly over 100 years in prison. While no official word of an appeal has been set, Bankman-Fried's legal team has vowed to continue fighting the charges against him. Bankman-Fried will be sentenced in March of 2024. The ninja thing didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work that well. I don't know why. I have to go through it step by step. I think we'll need a little bit of advanced time to get it set up, but I think once it is, it's a one-time thing. So
we might have to do a test stream and just play around with it and let people watch the technical difficulties happen when we don't have something else we have planned for streaming. Yeah,
exactly. So for whatever reason it didn't work. Anyway, so it looks pretty open and shut, but apparently one thing they didn't mention is that Bankman-Fried was not just involved with those things. He's accused of misappropriating billions of investor funds into various other ventures, including his pre-existing hedge fund called Alameda Research. There's also documented evidence of SBF donating tens of millions of dollars to mostly Democratic Party officials and super PACs. So this is the thing I think that got everyone's attention. He was basically money laundering and bankrolling political interest groups or special interest groups, and he's caught. But the question is, will he serve time? This is kind of like white collar crime. So I just wanted to put it out there. I don't know if Hannah, if you have any thoughts on that, if you know the story, if you've been following it much.
I to a degree, and here's my thinking on this, because he was like the darling of the authoritarian sort of socialist communist end of the left, right? They were all like that was the guy. If you weren't working with him or investing with him and so on, there was something wrong with you. And a lot of people ended up losing money they couldn't afford to lose because they weren't wealthy or they invested too much. And of course it fails, right? So if they don't have a use for him anymore, if they don't want to play with him anymore, then he'll serve some time until until he doesn't kill himself. That's my prediction. And because he also probably knows a lot of things that he was probably counting on knowing a lot of things to get him out of this. And it's honestly, it's my suspicion that they're done playing with him. They don't have a use for him anymore. He can't do the money laundering for them anymore. So now he's a threat, since he doesn't have anything left to lose but his life, which, if he gets a long sentence, he's not going to care as much about that either.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I mean, that's my expectation. That's my expectation. Is he'll become completely disposable.
Yeah. Speaking of expectation, I got a super chow from Meredith G. Thank you, Meredith, top G. And she says, for $5, HBR News 430. So it is my expectation that SBF was going to get convicted quick so they don't have to look too far into others who are involved. Yeah, and it's probably going to be a pretty cushy sentence, to be honest. Like, and he might even get out if they wait a while and people forget. That's kind of what I think is like, egging this on. It's like this, we got to give them a piece of meat, So
yeah,
that's what I think. But we'll see. Hobbit gone bad. That's right, gin bottle. All right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, right?
Has been Hobbit.
Hobbit gone rogue. All right, but anyway.
So don't make deals with the devil guys, and don't think that the devil just refers to some entity that some people believe in and some people don't. Like the establishment. Don't make deals with the establishment, because this is what happens. They get you into trouble, and if you go along with what they want you to do, this is where you will end up. This situation.
Yep. Indeed. All right. Well, anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. No word from Mike yet, so I guess unless there's like a super chat or something, I think I'm gonna move on to the next story. This is a small one. I was just doing a follow-up, so it's not like a big deal. Also, I guess like I should probably mention the video you guys saw before we started the news show was a little like commentary, or not a commentary. It was like a PSA from the Army. Okay. Now I don't know if you saw this, Hannah, but they put out a new sort of like, I don't know, what would you call it? An ad to enlist, like a request to enlist, or like a promotion of like the benefits of enlisting in the Army. And and it's a totally like, but the thing is, like, it's a different tone than what we're used to. So let me find the video. Actually, maybe I can just open it up in a browser here and show you, because I think this is kind of amazing. That we have essentially like we finally understand again, right? Like, so I'm gonna share this. Oops, I'm gonna share this with Hannah really quick. Let me share my screen so that you can see it, and we're gonna take a look at this this video. Okay. Now, bear in mind, this is why I'm bringing this up. When you watch this, I want you to tell me what you notice that makes it unique, considering the time period, considering what the military's been talking about lately. Okay?
Stand up! All reach your hands.
Do you notice anything weird about that video?
Yeah. This kind of harkens back to like 1989 through 1991. Like they did all of this.
Yay, Mike's here.
Oh, good. They did all of this advertising back when I would have been maybe a junior in high school. And the advertising switched from being about getting money for college to becoming a man, getting life skills. And there were ads that were also to get women into the military, and it was similar. You're tough enough for this, you're strong enough for this. Just be all that you can be. They've had that catchphrase, that slogan, for so long.
Yeah.
But it was, and when they were going to start bringing people back who were enlisted that had served out their God, I can't think of what your time of enlistment is called. When you enlist for 4 years and your 4 years is up, there's a name for that. And
I don't know why, but I want to say sentence, but I know that's not what it is.
Yeah, that's not it. But they recall those guys before they go to the step of looking at drafting people who were never in the military, because those guys were already trained, right? So so there's that. But in any case, then it got more serious. It became almost action movie type ads where it was about, look how great you'll be if you become a soldier. Look how special important you'll be if you become a soldier. And this is kind of a similar thing, communicating it to Gen Z. Right?
Yeah.
The generation that didn't grow up watching MASH with their parents, more likely than not.
Right. No, of course not. But what is of particular interest in the context of the current year is that there have been lots of military, sort of like armed forces oriented like advertising, but it was all based in diversity, equity, and inclusion quotas. It was like, oh, here's I'm gonna be a soldier, and these are my two moms, and we fight for, and it's like feminist protesting, LGBT pride stuff. Then you got
there
like
was no DEI in that.
No. There was FBI shit, like what the FBI is like all about the DEI, etc. And now this was all when we were in basically peacetime, like, or at least like not, as in the same kind of precarious position we are in now. So like right now, without getting like too heavy into it, we have a conflict between Russia and Ukraine. We have a conflict between Gaza and Israel, or like Palestine and Israel. And we have a conflict between China and Taiwan. And our government is getting involved, and in all of those things, probably in the least competent way possible. And it looks like any of those powder kegs could go off at any moment, and they're going to need what? They're going to need men. They're going to need men in the military. So all of a sudden, the advertising tone completely changes. And now we're seeing like dudes jumping out of helicopters, which is probably what it always should have been anyway. But they want to kiss our ass. They want to kiss the asses of men, that is, because they know that they can't send a non-binary, like, deerkin out to the front line, and they can't send a woman. It's got to be a dude, and based on the demographics, probably a white dude. So they just That's why this ad works, because it looks like an old ad, because that's what they were.
Yeah. Do you remember what they were doing before the DEI? Do you remember who they were advertising to?
I can't remember, but go ahead.
Gamers. They were advertising to gamers.
It was to gamers,
right?
yes.
They were advertising to the guys that play various, they were advertising to the guys that play Team Fortress 2. They were advertising to the guys that play all the online war games. They were advertising to the guys that play the online fantasy RPGs where you go kill fantasy monsters or dinosaurs or anything else. Like those were the ads. And gamer girls, right? Or girl gamers. They weren't necessarily advertising separately to gamers who happen to be female, but they were advertising separately to girl gamers. And if you have listened to this show much, y'all understand the distinction. But yeah, they basically, up until we hit the point where it might not be peacetime in the U.S. anymore, which peacetime is in quotes already. Because of the way that our government has been exploiting our defense forces, and because we have actually been having a hot civil war here in the United States that people aren't paying attention to because it's being framed as protests and riots, right? That's war. That's civil war. That is not. It's just that there's not another body declaring itself to be a government involved. It's still a civil war. There is still a commander-in-chief of that civil war. It just doesn't happen to be an American that's funding that civil war, right? So I put peacetime in quotes, but they haven't had a draft, they haven't had a big call for soldiers till now.
Yep.
And now they want to put men in foreign countries fighting for nothing to do with the United States.
Yep.
Because the United States government stirred the pot and stirred the pot and stirred the pot in a way that was detrimental to both sides of whatever conflicts they've been involved in, and everybody at home and everybody in the world through the economic impacts and everything. And so now they want to cover their shit by spending the lives of men. And they won't even refer to it that way. They won't even refer to you as human beings. You know what your name is in a war? Boots on the ground. They talk about your shoes. They talk about your footwear, right? They won't talk about you. They won't talk about men. They won't talk about lives and deaths. They won't talk about how many are going to come home to find out that their wives divorced them because they were bored. And they sure as hell aren't going to talk about how many died, how many were mutilated, how many have been captured and never come home. That their family never gets to find out what happened to them. There are families that are still wondering about men who were drafted and sent to Vietnam.
Yep. Sure. Yeah.
Right? Our generation was raised by Vietnam veterans who had come back, right? And there are still families. There are people who were the kids of Vietnam veterans when they were growing up, who are in their 50s now and their 60s, who don't know what happened to their dads. They probably have an idea by now.
Yeah.
Right? But they don't know.
Right.
The information never came to them.
Right.
And they won't talk about that. They will call you a pair of boots.
Yep.
And I'm a little bit triggered over this because I have been watching some of the conversation about it on Twitter, and so I'm going off about it. But I mean, you look at the conflict, the Gaza conflict, all right?
Yeah.
The whole time, and I will tell you this right now: I'm not anti-Semitic. I have been pro-Israel all my life. All right, I was raised that way. We'll put it that way. There's this duty that you supposedly have as a Christian to be like pro-Israel, and so on, right? But I'm looking at this, right? If you have in your home a brown recluse spider, and you can see it, and you know it's there, and you keep letting it come up and bite you on the foot instead of hitting it with a fly swatter or a shoe, that's your fault. You did that. If you continue to tolerate the spider and then continue to claim, oh my gosh, I don't understand what's wrong with this spider. We told it not to bite us anymore. and it still keeps biting you, you should get the point at some point in time that the spider is never going to change, right? So if the narrative from Israel's side is 100% true about Palestinians, and I'm not saying it's not, and I'm not saying it is, but if it is, Israel has always been powerful enough to smash that.
Yeah.
And when they've always had the United States as an ally, and they've always had help from the United States in regard to that, they've always had the power to just put the kibosh to it, and didn't do it the whole time.
Yep.
Right? And at the other end of it, you cannot promise to ceasefire and then shoot people. That's not how ceasefires work. Right? And Palestinians have always had the power to decide that maybe this stupid little stretch of desert is not worth fighting for. There are better places in the world to grow things. There are easier places in the world to live. Why stay there? Right? It's not a historical connection. There is none. They have none.
Yeah.
They have zero historical connection there. So what's the point? Why are they doing that? Right? So both sides, this is like the Hatfields and the McCoys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one side could have definitely stopped, like you can't teach a spider to respect your no-no square, but there's two things you can do. You can smash it with a shoe, or you can pick it up in a cup and throw it outside. And Israel did neither. They have a fucking space laser. They can shoot missiles down out of the sky from space. They can shoot a moving object down out of the sky from space.
Yep.
They do not need boots on the ground from the United States. They don't.
Well, yeah, of course.
And in terms of, the Russia conflict is very similar in that vein.
Yeah.
Right? Either they're winning like they tell us and they don't need us, or they can't win. And it's going to be problematic if we join. And this is bullshit. Mm-hmm. So what's going on with Israel and what's going on with Ukraine? I don't care.
Yeah.
I do not care. I do not care what the Palestinians did, because Israel let them do it. And I do not care if Israel turns around and smashes them with a shoe or kicks them out, because it's about time. If Israel has been telling the truth the whole time, it's about time. I don't want us involved. I don't want our kids getting sent into this kind of conflict, right? This has nothing to do with us. And I don't think we have any business criticizing how they handle it or getting involved in how they handle it. And the same is true, in my opinion, between Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I didn't want to get into the actual nitty gritty of the wars themselves, but rather, I think. And Mike, are you with us? I see you're muted, but I don't know if you were just waiting.
I think so. Have we got into the stories yet, or is this just a preamble?
No, we did do the Sam Bankman-Fried thing, so I want to give you a chance to respond to that. But I also showed a new trailer. Well, that's a trailer. I don't know what you call it. It's basically like an ad for the U.S. Army that just came out, and it's completely unlike recent military and government institution oriented material which means that it's just a bunch of white men jumping out of airplanes, and it's totally glamorized and everything. And I think that what I think it is we are now actually close to a real war, and the army's like, well, you know what, we can't fuck around with these non-binary galaxy kin or whatever the hell they are. We gotta have white dudes.
We need white men to die for us now.
Yeah, we need white men to die for us for real. So we're gonna have to pander to them. So this is what happens when you pander to white men. You just tell them to join the army and die for their country, the same country that hates them for being white men, by the way. But that was what we were just talking about.
So you finished talking about the Sam Bankman-Fried thing already?
Well, I read it's a short little thing, but I mean, you can give your thoughts on it if you wish.
I felt it was a lot like the Ghislaine Maxwell case.
Yeah.
defendant found guilty of a heck of a lot of dodgy transactions. Transactions apparently with nobody. It was laundering money through some kind of ethereal void. A lot of people still want to know what happened to all their stolen money. What did Sam Bankman-Fried do with it? Well, he was the second largest donator to the Democrat Party, second only to our old buddy George Sauron. So if the Democrat Party is harboring stolen goods, shouldn't they have to give it back? No. Not how that works, is it? That was a different billions of dollars. Damn, this guy got played. So it turns out the Democrats were just using him as a sort of digital drug mule. And then when they were done with him, they threw him out into the wastelands like a scapegoat. Not the greatest deal in the history of trade offers. I get billions of dollars, you get 100 years. Not that he's even going to make it to 100 days in a prison cell with temperamental CCTV. He clearly knows too much, and pretty soon he's going to have a deadly argument with his bed sheets in the middle of the night or some shit. The moral of the story is when a Democrat asks you to do them a favor, you should politely decline, because your life depends on it. When it comes to the Democrats, the only species more endangered than their enemies are their accomplices. They run on a distilled and concentrated form of oikophobia. You cannot trust an oikophobe. And I mean that by definition. What the oikophobe hates is familiarity. So the closer you get to them, the more they hate you. When you first meet them, they will like you. They might even love you at first sight, as it were, because you're a stranger. And they can only love strangers. But from that moment on, there's a countdown to the moment they inevitably turn on you. And it counts down faster the closer you get. This happens on the smallest of scales. And you'll meet an individual who loves you and then hates you and then disappears into the night, leaving you both wondering what the hell that even was. It also happens on the largest of scales, such as with Sam Bankman-Fried. Do the Democrat Party a favor of that magnitude, and they'll kiss your ass, and they'll tell the entire mass media to kiss your ass, but one day you'll turn around and blink, and the next thing you know, you're in a prison cell with your own fist up your ass and you're dead. One way or another, these people are not safe to be around. They hate you. And not just because you're white or male or cisgendered or whatever. They hate you because you exist. Because they can see you existing. That's all it takes. Oikophobes can only give a shit about abstract alien phantasms that they cannot see, will never see, and don't even want to see. So the safest place is as far away from them as possible where they can't see you. When a scorpion tells you they're a scorpion, believe them. And when a frog is brightly colored with patterns of neon pink and blue, don't attempt to ride on its back if you happen to be a scorpion. And if a political party is openly not putting its own constituents first, don't vote for them. They're obviously going to steal your money and laugh at you as they watch you die. Nature is quite often generous in that way with its warning signs. So do pay attention to those warning signs. And yeah, stay frosty, stay strapped, stay away from lefties. They will drag you to hell, and they will teabag you in hell forever.
All right. So I thank you for that. We will move on to the next story. I got a super chow and a big one from Zeranx. I'm afraid this might fill the whole screen. I don't know, because it's a really big, or at least you're not gonna be able to see it all, but I just want to put it up there so you guys know that I did in fact share it. So he gives us $10 and says, after that army ad, Zelensky's begging for a loan should be played after. Yeah, right. Immediately after that, actually he doesn't even beg, he just demands money. I don't know if you guys noticed. Anyway, immediately after that, have a few cards play that say something like, men 18 to 65-year-old Ukrainian men were conscripted for the war between Ukraine and Russia. Zelensky was able to come to the U.S. Capitol and fly the Ukrainian flag. senators, representatives, and former reps wear Ukrainian flag pins while supposedly serving the U.S. Now they want you to join up to fight under Biden, who checks his watch while Marines, almost barely 4 years out of high school, come home in boxes. That's right. Remember that Biden was vice president when several men were needlessly fed into the war thresher for nothing of worth to occur. Do not serve yourself up for these anti-Americans in elected office that hate those that they supposedly work for. They don't live here. They just work here. Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Thank you, Xerax. Very based response. Yeah, and that's one of the things too, is that like the YouTube link for this and the Twitter where this is posted is a lot of men dunking on this video. They're saying either they're making fun of the lack of diversity, they're like, where are all the black women in wheelchairs? Or they're saying, I'm not dying for Israel, I'm not dying for Ukraine, I'm not dying for Taiwan. You know, I'm not gonna die for a country that treats men like shit. And I think that they see that. So yeah, good luck. But here's what I think is going to happen. This will be the last word on that military blurb. They're going to try to invoke patriotism. You know how like Bud Light switched gears after the Dylan Mulvaney thing, and they tried to like do like, this is a man beer, and it's like a bunch of like dudes doing stereotypical dude shit, like cutting down trees and driving trucks. It didn't work. In fact, it probably insulted their customers more. So like, is that what you think we are? And I think that's what this is doing, and I don't think it's gonna work. And then what's gonna happen is they're gonna try to use this method. Then they're gonna try to invoke some like sense of loyalty to God or country or patriotism or whatever. But what they're hoping to do is that they're hoping to not have to use the draft. But if it gets down to it, they will. They will try to table the draft if it gets down to it. So, this isn't over yet. This is only starting. Hopefully it won't get too bad, but I'm telling you, if it gets to it, they will table the discussion of the draft again. Especially with
they're laying the groundwork for actually drafting people now.
Yeah,
they're laying the groundwork for it now.
Yeah.
And yeah, they'll table it again if it becomes too unpopular. But honestly, I hate to say this, but I expect one to happen.
Yeah, me too.
I'm dreading that one's going to happen.
I expect and potentially World War III. I do. I honestly think that we're really close.
This would be World War V
or
VI, because if you really think about it, Desert Storm was World War III. Desert Shield was World War IV.
Okay. So yeah, okay. Well,
this is World War.
Meanwhile, Napoleon Bonaparte is over here going, "Am I a joke to you?"
Actually, in modern times, yeah, because people don't realize that a lot of the things that they believe about him were made up. But I mean, the whole world was involved in those, and those were hot wars. We weren't quite, I don't think, either time to the point of believing we were under nuclear threat. We are right now in both a Cold War and a hot war at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think people understand how bad that is.
Well, at least we don't
Gen
have
Xers,
yeah.
We saw one. We saw one, and then we saw the other after the one was kind of cooled off. And the one was kind of a joke to us by the time it got to us, because our parents lived through it first, and the advice they got was very bad. And the other, we got lied to, and a lot of my classmates went. A lot of my classmates enlisted because of 9/11.
Yeah.
A lot of my classes enlisted because they thought this was, because they thought there were babies being thrown out of incubators and murdered by the other side, right? Some enlisted at 19, 18 years old. Some of them enlisted, 20 years later, re-enlisted 20 years later. Like I saw that happen, and it was bullshit. And I'm sure you saw the same thing with your classmates.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you see them posting on Facebook, I'm old, but I can do this, right? We don't need to keep doing this. And we need to get our politicians, all of our politicians, to understand that if they bring about another draft, that's the end of the establishment.
Yeah.
They all have to be, everybody that votes to send our troops needs to be voted out of office in the next election. It needs to be the kiss of death to their career.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, at least we're not getting any more mean tweets. Am I right? I mean, that I'm so
the kiss of death of the career.
You haven't seen my Twitter lately, have you?
No, I don't mean from you. I mean from the he who shall not be named.
He who shall not be named. Yeah.
At least we're not getting any mean tweets, right, guys? I mean, World War III mean tweets. It's tough. It's a tough choice. I guess I'm gonna go with World War III because I mean, like, you know, I feel safe from words. All right, but anyway, I got another.
Like I said, yeah, you haven't seen my Twitter lately.
No, I know. Good thing you're not running for office. Okay, but anyway, I got a super chow from Richard Bier, gives us $5, and says this will be another way that white men transitioning will be invalidated, along with non-binary, self-identifying, or any other gender deviance. Here's to seeing Jeffrey Marsh getting drafted. Oh, that would be amazing, actually. And yeah, there's no getting out of that. I also got a Rumble rant. That's right. No, that's super chat. Where is the Rumble rant? I saw one, I swear. Let me just open up the Rumble here. Hold on. I will look at it in the Rumble chat. Yeah, Dara Mouth gives us $2 and says, war is war and hell is hell. Hawkeye. Thank you, Dara Mouth, for the $2. Really appreciate it. I don't know why I can't see your thing. And then I got a super chat from Albert Nader Retro, who says, the Allies put the Jews there after World War II. If they need our help, we are obligated to help them. Where has not my problem gotten America in the past?
I'm telling you, they don't need our help. And if you look at the 20th century, the history of Americans helping other countries with their conflicts, it has not turned out good for the world. It has turned out very bad for the world. So, you know, we World War II was us helping to clean up a mess that wouldn't have been created if we hadn't interfered in World War I.
Yeah. I will say about it is, you know, Israel has a right to have a wall around their country and protect their borders, and so do we. So maybe we should also, like, you know, be concerned with our own shit, because the same people who are crying about, you know, what we should be doing to help Israel are not helping us. And this is how you're going to get like this kind of antipathy towards the state. So, all right, I got a Rumble rant from Daramuth. Okay, he says it's pronounced Daramuth, but glad to support over here on Rumble. Thanks, Daramuth. Yeah, please hang out with us on Rumble. Throw some emojis in there. Throw some cool doges or Rumble chans in the chat, and let them bounce around the screen and play like little toys or whatever it is. Okay, but anyway, let's get into the next story.
I gotta respond to one thing. Okay. Assassin, yes. The Israelites need us to get out of their way, and we should.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So anyway, let us know what you guys think about this in the comments. We're going to move on to the next story. So here we go. All right. So I will read this one. Former Spanish Football Federation President Luis Rubiales, who is pictured here, kissed forward Jenny Hermoso on the lips following Spain's Women's World Cup final win over England in August 20th of 2023. You guys may have heard about this in the news like a while back. It was kind of a big deal for whatever reason. Everybody was talking about it. So Rubiales stepped down from his role in September after public outcry that came with Hermoso saying that the kiss was not consensual. So apparently, like a month later, she figured out that was not appropriate. A majority of the World Cup winning team boycotted the national team until changes were made within the Football Federation. The World Cup winning manager, Jorge Vilda, was sacked in September and is being investigated as part of the criminal case against Rubiales. Hermoso has since filed a legal complaint against Rubiales. Consequences for the celebratory kiss escalated further at the end of October when world governing body FIFA announced a 3-year ban for breaching Article 13 of its disciplinary code. Rubiales says he intends to appeal against this ban. "I will go to the last resort to see that justice is done and that the truth shines through," he said on social media. Rubiales, 46, is claimed that the kiss at the post-match presentation ceremony was mutual, but Hermoso has consistently said it was not. Hermoso, who says her image has been tarnished by this kiss, has returned to play.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I can see... Show your emotions, guys. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Everything would be okay if you would just be more emotional, like women. Get caught up in the moment, like women. Do what feels right, like women. Except, it might offend a woman, and then you're in big fucking trouble, and that won't defend you at all. At all. Jesus.
I can see some situations where a kiss could or should be a matter for a legal complaint. If the unconsensual kiss results in a disease being deliberately transmitted, perhaps. If it's a random child and you're doing it in the swimsuit region, absolutely. But kissing, an adult kissing another adult during some sporting celebration, having just won the World Cup, seems like something you can clear up without getting judges involved. Especially since, yes, men kiss other men during those kinds of celebrations, impulsively and instantaneously on the forehead or cheeks or lips. Especially if they're of a South European persuasion, where that sort of thing is relatively normal, even as an everyday sort of greeting. And yes, I suppose it's different when it's a man and a woman. There's a certain tension that can go on uniquely in that circumstance, but it's a subjective difference, and it requires subjective regulating. It established beforehand that one should not kiss a woman as one kisses a man, or lie with a man as one lies with a woman. It might be a religious rule, it might be a social rule, and they all might sound a bit screwy when you put them together. Either way, that's how you should deal with minor stuff like this. You just pull someone aside and go, "Yo, bro, seems like you didn't get the memo. You know how we don't hit women? Well, we just don't kiss them either. Just not anywhere, in any way, or for any reason, unless it's your wife. And that doesn't mean you can hit your wife as well. Actually, don't even kiss your wife either until further notice. Let's just not come into any physical contact with women in public or in private. Actually, just in case someone's filming it. Just imagine there's this personal space bubble around every woman and every man, and just never cross the bubbles. Yes, this is indeed ludicrous. These are the times we live in. We pull each other aside and we talk to each other, and we explain how we're supposed to, socially speaking, jump through a few hoops in a few contradictory directions all at once, and then we try to live our lives while we really worry about what the neighbors think. It's a lot better than making it a legally actionable dispute, whereby it's a criminal offense for a man to kiss a woman anywhere, in any way, and for any reason. We really don't want that kind of madness dawning on our already fragile civilization. Oh, wait, it's already happened. Never mind.
Just want to point out, that there is a huge difference between a in the moment, celebratory, in the heat of emotion from winning, brief kiss like that, and being sexually harassed. Right, and both sexes have experienced sexual harassment. Both sexes have had somebody refuse to take no for an answer and follow them around and behave in really stupid ways and expect that to endear them to the other person for some reason. or at least get them to comply. But that wasn't what this was, and it's being treated like it is, and that's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, it again, this is just, I mean, look, and you guys mentioned that Spain is particularly paused on this. That's where this took place. So you could say this guy should have known better than to get excited and express it with a woman present. But yeah, I mean, Spain is especially bad. Women, you know, I see more and more videos online of women saying, "Why can't I find a man? Why aren't men approaching me? Why are they being shy?" And then supposed coaches that are like, "Guys, why aren't you just approaching women?" This is why. This is why. I mean, this guy's not even trying to go out with her. You know, he wasn't even trying to date that woman. And look at those consequences. Why would anyone put that at risk? Why would they? They shouldn't. So yeah, congratulations. I swear, sometimes I swear I don't think women think these things through. I swear to God, I think that they're just so like caught up in the moment and how it feels to, like, you know, throw someone's career in the garbage. They don't even think about the consequences. Like, where is this going? Where is this going? Anyway, this isn't even, anyway, we got one more story to get to, and it's a big one. So let us know what you guys think about this in the comments. And be sure to smash that like button. I know as people are asking me for a like chance, so I did put her in there. So yeah, smash like if you're on YouTube, and hopefully I'll see you all. Your likes, do that for her. Do it for her. All right, so I got another super chow from Richard Bier, and he says for $5, how fast would those migrant caravans turn around if they were to know that upon entering the United States, they would immediately be conscripted into the military to be shipped to a war zone? Well, that would be an interesting twist, but I don't think that's going to happen.
You'd be surprised. There's been a couple of times in history where various groups were told that they could become citizens, or at least gain the rights of citizenship, by joining the military. And that was proposed by Republicans for immigrants seeking amnesty during the Obama administration. So it's not something that's off the table. Mm-hmm. And it's obviously, this is another instance where men's lives, men's blood, buys civil rights for their group of people, their demographic, including the women. Native Americans had to do that. Yeah. Filipinos had to do that. And I want to say the Chinese also had to do that in the United States. So yeah. So we can, we can look at this as something that it sounds ridiculous, but in a historical context, it's a distinct possibility that it could happen. They wouldn't necessarily be drafted, but they could be told this is the only pathway to citizenship. And you can get citizenship and all of the rights that come with it by doing this, and jump to the head of the line and bypass everybody else that's waiting. And believe it or not, in my opinion, that's kind of like telling somebody, well, if you want to keep your job, if you want to get this promotion that'll pay all your bills, you got to have sex with the boss, except on a grand scale with death involved. And mm-hmm. Basically belonging to the United States government, being property of the United States government for a number of years. So women who are like, well, that's no big deal, you would think it was a big deal if it was you. You would think it was a damn big deal.
Yeah. All right, well, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. We're going to move on to the next story, the last one. And it's kind of a big one. So Mike J did a pretty short write-up. At the time, this was yesterday when I put the story through, we didn't have, we have more information now. And this has certainly done the rounds. But in a late update to a story from March, the alleged manifesto of the transgender Nashville school shooter has been leaked. A source connected with Steven Crowder and his podcast Louder with Crowder has produced several pictures of a handwritten journal that the source claims is the manifesto of the transgender school shooter Audrey Hale. That's the dead name, I guess, if you want to get technical. Their trans male name was Aiden, I think. The manifesto clearly lays out what her plans for the day were and how she planned to go about the shooting, detailed down to the minute. The manifesto also shows her clear hatred for whites and the rich, as well as her excitement for the upcoming shooting and her eagerness to kill as many children as possible.
Now that I've seen 3 pages of it, and I'm sure all of you have as well. I'm unsure whether it counts as a manifesto, and now I'm unsure as to what a manifesto even is. Some of the the views and intention of the author do come across rather loud and clear. She doesn't like rich white people or their children, their dreaded toe-headed children, but it's unclear whether it was ever supposed to be a public statement or if it's just a sort of private journal chronicling the mad ramblings of a crazy person. And I think it points to something kind of more sinister than any specific cult-like behavior. It's fuzzier than that. This is the deep end of the malaise people experience when they believe everything they're taught to believe in schools and colleges and in the media. You hate rich people? Check. You hate white people? Check. Hate Christians? Check. This is what you've been taught to believe. So, yeah, gold star, Audrey, 10 out of 10. And bear in mind, all we've seen is 3 pages of this document. Apparently, there are at least 20 in total, wherein I wouldn't be surprised to find a bunch of stuff about patriarchy, colonialism, cisgendered, blah, blah, blah. All I can do is speculate, of course. I'm not quite sure why we're not being shown the whole thing, but I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. Point is, I bet you there are thousands of those kinds of quote-unquote manifestos all over the country, all over the world, handwritten by similarly brainwashed people who just happen to have not killed anyone yet. I'm surprised more of them haven't. Or should I say, I'm curious as to how many of them have, given how quick and efficient the media is in covering up this sort of thing. You might say it's just a correlation. There are millions of white-hating, man-hating, gender-discombobulated drifters out there. It's surely just a coincidence that one of them went postal. Well, no. By all accounts, they went postal because they don't seem to think of white people as human. So they look around and see themselves surrounded by non-human creatures. They look in the mirror and see a non-human creature. They write down in their diary, I hate white kids and I'm literally going to shoot a bunch of them right fucking now. Again, there are probably thousands of teenagers out there who have written something like this. Like as homework, if nothing else. White privilege is part of the curriculum now. So it's not that much of a stretch to suggest that it's not a coincidence when someone actually puts their money where their mouth is, or their gun where their mouth is. As it were, if parents across the world discover a connection between school shootings and this woke ideology, then they're going to freak the fuck out if they ever find their own teenagers' private diaries about how much they hate white people. Not to mention the assignments they're given in school, teaching them to hate white people. You saw how much parents freaked out about Marilyn Manson, about video games, about the witchcraft of Dungeons and Dragons. If concerned parents get together and direct even a fraction of those dark energons in the direction of the woke industrial complex, we might finally see how fragile that complex is, and not a moment too soon. So no wonder the media tried to bury it. They're trying to push an agenda that's made of glass. It cannot stand up to any honest scrutiny, and so they've encased it in rubber. They've thrown glue on everyone else and gone, "No, you!" While they slowly push it, slowly march it through the institutions, wondering just how long they can get away with this. After years of crying racism at every mass murder, and then pointing at the internet as what must be the obvious source of all the racist misinformation that must surely be radicalizing all these white supremacists, they made the mistake of letting one of their own slip through the cracks of the mass censorship. And now the normies, whom they've tried to condition, are staring at a page that says, "I hate white kids and I'm gonna shoot them." And they're thinking, what could be the obvious source of all the radicalizing racist misinformation? Oh, looky here. They're teaching it in schools. To my fucking 5-year-old. We're not just talking about the things you learn in the depths of 4chan here. The state itself is teaching my kids to hate their skin and their genitals, and they're ready and willing to arrest me if I have a problem with that. Wait a cotton picking minute here, maybe I've been lied to. They need the normies, man. If they lose the normies, the whole house of cards comes down.
Yep.
The normies have been slowly maneuvered into place one step at a time, and one day they're going to wake up and go, "Hang on, I'm teaching my kids to hate themselves and get their junk packed up by some quack with a scalpel? Man alive, that was a trip. What the hell came over me?" and then they will look over at their television, and it will still be chanting at them, "White people suck. Trans your kids today." And they'll go, "Oh, it was those bastards. I thought watching current affairs on TV was a healthy, worldly thing to do. I had no idea I was being subjected to government propaganda the whole time that in no way has my interests in mind. I guess I'll have to go to the internet and get some kind of broad variety of sources. Heaven forfend." And the moment that happens, the old media will be dead, replaced by the internet, like the scribes of the days of yore were once replaced by the printing press. A few people will still hang around in the old media, like meek, demoralized Anglicans shuffling into the back pew of the church and barely listening to the checked out vicar as he mumbles through some psalm or other. But the rest of us will be free, mentally and psychologically free, to connect with the universe in our own chosen way without being arrested by the government or murdered by their sleeper cells. And we'll look back on this age and go, remember when the church of the media remember what it was like before it was reformed several times? Remember the evil old days of all those crusades, of all those inquisitions of the 21st century. It's hard to believe people were ever like that. Never again, brother. Never again. Anywho, let's put on our VR helmets and watch the news. I hope that trans-disabled otherkin newsreader doesn't report me for stair rape again.
So that's something a lot of people have missed in this. This shooter was a student at that school at one point in their life. Like, so this is not a kid that came just out of the public school system and everything. She picked that up somewhere else, and she picked it up.
It's my understanding that she went to her own school, but it was too well guarded, so she went to a different school that wasn't. Do I have that wrong?
She went to. You're right. She was a student at a religious school, not that school. But in any case, she the stuff that she picked up, she may have picked it up in college. She may have picked it up on the internet. When somebody is disturbed, right? When somebody has a profound mental health condition, and instead of helping them, the psychiatric profession does things that fucks them up even more. like prescribing medication that doesn't help with the problem, convincing them that the problem is something other than what it is. It causes various symptoms to occur that weren't occurring before and can lead to meltdowns like this or suicide. There's a lot of people that have committed suicide, for instance, on selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors because that was not the correct solution to their mental health condition. Whatever they were going through, that made it worse, or that removed a barrier to their suicide, right? And in her situation, maybe transitioning, maybe she went on hormone replacement therapy to transition, and it fucked her up because those were not the hormones that her brain needed. Those are not the hormones that her body needed, and it wasn't the solution for her problem, and her problem went untreated. And then she went into echo chambers where the argument wasn't just these things are normal, these things are okay, and white people bad, and men bad, and so on. It was because they're bad, because we're angry, it's okay to hurt them or kill them. And when you get to that point, because it's fine to criticize whole demographics of people in generalizations for real complaints, and it's fair that complaints have to be vetted in a public forum, and that some complaints are going to be invalid, and you have to address invalid complaints about your demographic. It's fair because every demographic can do that to every other demographic, and you have the responsibility as a thinker in public forums to look at the facts and say, well, that's bullshit, or that's not bullshit, or I understand why you think that way, but you're missing some ideas and thoughts that might change your mind on it. But that's not what happens in these echo chambers. It's censored, right? It's you can't contradict that narrative, and then it's permitted to advocate violence based on those opinions. It's one of the reasons why, like, we have a line. You can discuss the fact that violence happens. You can discuss the risks that there will be people who will engage in violence, and discussing that as a reality that people face, that's acceptable and important, because you have to be prepared to respond when there is violence, either by running away from it or confronting it. And that's just a reality of life. Like, you can talk about that, but when you turn around and start advocating violence, which is what trenders do, right? And they have been doing for over a decade with the whole die cis scum narrative. And it's just because it was treated like it was a joke. Remember when we were told that was a joke?
Yep.
And it's obviously not. Obviously, it wasn't a joke to her. But when you get into it's okay to punch Nazis, and then suddenly it's okay to set fire to people's neighborhoods because you're angry because you think some people are Nazis, and it doesn't matter if the people whose neighborhood you're burning down are part of that group or not. You had a right because you were mad, and it was a mostly peaceful protest. 97% or 93% of the protest was peaceful.
Yeah.
The people who lost their homes, no big deal, right? When that's the narrative, this is the result, right? The fucked up dipshit who didn't get help going into a school and shooting a bunch of kids. And the only reason that it is being responded to differently this time is because it was a biological female.
Yeah.
Who had been started on a pathway to transition, and who was buying into this narrative, who was introduced to this narrative by the trender community, right? That's the only reason it's being. If this was a guy, if this was a boy instead of a girl, a young man instead of a young woman, we would have probably seen at least some of the manifesto. If the manifesto didn't have anything anti-white or anti-cis in it, we would have seen it.
Oh,
it
for
wouldn't
sure.
have mattered
Within a day.
even if it wasn't misogynistic, even if it was just crazy talk, we would have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And
there would have been
told.
There's always an angle. It would have been like, well, let's make this one about white men, or let's make this one about gun rights, or let's make this one about, we would have been told incels, like whatever it is. Yeah,
we would have been told which demographic to hate and to tolerate violence against as a result of the behavior of this one individual. That's how this would have been. That's how this would have gone.
Yeah,
and that's how it's gone every time it's been a guy.
Yeah,
right? That's how it's been every single time.
And that's only if they have to talk about it at all, because I think that if like something like this happens and it's, it doesn't make like national news or whatever, then they just don't talk about it. So because then it just disappears. It just so happened that this story was so big that the media couldn't ignore it. So instead, they reported on it. They did not reveal the manifesto. They had it. We knew that there was one. They told us there was one. They held on to it, and they were like, well, we have to, the FBI has to go through it, and we have to look at it and make sure, whatever. And they were talking about, oh, we're worried about copycats. No, that's not true, because I can think of like 3 shootings that happened recently, and the manifestos came out right away when there was one, like right away. And of course, because it was convenient for them. It was like, oh, well, this guy, like Dylan Roof or whatever, or the guy in Maine, that committed that shooting like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, or whatever it is, right? But like stuff like this, that's like politically inconvenient. So yes, I believe it's true. It's because it's a woman, biological woman, but also I don't think it hurts that this is a trans man that's part of the G mafia. I don't think it hurts that this person hated white people, and I wouldn't even say they were rich. She's talking about guys with convertibles, Mustangs, and like khaki pants. That sounds like middle class people. Like it's not even. It's just resentment. It's just resentment.
People whose life hasn't been.
People whose life is in order. Or no, maybe it is. Like everybody's got.
Yeah, it is in order. Yeah.
Yeah, they just have control over their shit. And I think that her, one other thing that I mentioned when this originally happened was she had shot out a stained glass window of the church. And this was like not targeting anyone. She was just doing damage with a gun. And what she shot at was, apparently there was a stained glass window with Adam and Eve on it, and she shot out Adam. And I thought that was, she was making a statement, right? About men, even though she wants to be one. And I think, again, I got to get into, because we don't know a lot. There were only 3 pages of her, I don't know what you call it, manifesto. People are calling it manifesto. I don't know. But it gives us a peek into her psyche, right? Only 3 pages. She went on about essentially like on a anti-white, but there was other things that are evident based on like who she is and who she targeted. So I think that all this stuff kind of like fits together. Like intersectionality, you don't take one piece of it out and only focus on that. Everything else has to come with it because intersectionality works on that premise, right? So clearly anti-white, because that was in her statements, even though she is white, but that's not relevant. That's just, Mike says, that's just oikophobia. One of the first things that you learn as a white child in this, society is that you are the worst thing ever because you are white. And then you, on top of that, she's obviously part of the LGBTQ community. So she hates the cis people because she wasn't happy in her own body. And she probably hated the idea that other people were. She also apparently hates the rich. So she's like, that's just like pure communism. It's fine. I get it. This is all commie shit anyway, but you might as well just like stay loyal to the root, know your roots. They got shit. I don't have shit. I want their shit. I hate them for it. And, anti-natalist because she killed children, anti-Christian because she killed Christians. So, and I think that's, I think those are all legitimate things. And obviously all that comes with the patriarchy. All that comes with the patriarchy made all that stuff. So all the boxes are crossed. This was her target. The media didn't know what to do with it. For whatever, I don't know who was keeping the information from them. Imagine that the feds maybe, because there is one thing she mentions. She talks about how she almost got away with something in 2021. We don't have all the information, but it sounds like she was going to do something else before this. and for whatever reason, she didn't go through with it. Maybe she was afraid she was going to get caught or whatever, but this basically calls into questions, okay, has she attempted things like this in the past? And if she has she been successful in the past? Like, maybe we don't know, right? I'm just asking questions, but I think it's important to know. And I think that there is definitely something that the media, the LGBT G mafia folks, the feminists, the whole establishment apparatus, whatever you want to call it, big tech, etc., they want to keep it under wraps. Like, I was actually afraid of talking about this story on YouTube because of how this is probably going to get like throttled or something. Most likely, we're not monetized, so I'm not worried about that. But this is going to be probably a video that people are not going to want to talk about because YouTube doesn't want us to talk about it. So there is that. The other thing I wanted to mention is that there was talk about, like, somebody was speculating that she did this because she was in the midst of a transition and she may have been, probably was taking testosterone. And I want to say that testosterone does not do that. And I talked about testosterone on the show.
Testosterone doesn't do that in men.
No, it doesn't.
Right? Testosterone doesn't do that in men.
No.
Because in men, it balances you out. Right?
Yeah.
But if your body is supposed to naturally have a higher amount of estrogen, we don't know that putting testosterone in a person who doesn't need it doesn't fuck up their head. And if they're already fucked up, we don't know that doesn't tip them over the edge.
Right.
Because it creates an imbalance. That's a hormonal imbalance. It's not because it's testosterone, right? We don't know that estrogen doesn't do that to men. In fact, there is some evidence that it does.
No, estrogen does.
Estrogen, he becomes more aggressive.
Estrogen is the thing that makes you emotional.
But
not
it doesn't. It's not that. It's not that. We don't know that if you take a person whose normal, healthy hormonal balance goes in one direction, and you turn it in the opposite direction, we don't know that doesn't exacerbate mental health problems that they might have.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether you give them testosterone or estrogen. And it's not whether, it's not that it's testosterone makes you aggressive and estrogen makes you passive, because that's bullshit. But we don't know that giving her testosterone when maybe she needed therapy instead. And we don't know that giving her testosterone when her healthy balance was more estrogen and less testosterone didn't make problems that she already had worse.
Right.
And the other thing is that I didn't get to say it when I was talking earlier, but we do know that if a man had a manifesto exactly like this and targeted a bunch of people, young men, the media already has a narrative written for that because they did that with the Vegas shooter. Just wanted to point that out.
No, it's fair. I just wanted to add that what I think is actually more likely what affected her is not testosterone or estrogen, but SSRIs. I bet she was on SSRIs because that drives women crazy. And all of our mental health professionals are very quick to prescribe it. And I think it causes a lot of problems.
I can tell you what SSRIs do, right? If you have something going on that your fail-safes against it include any concern or anxiety about the consequences of your actions, and that's what's holding you back, that disappears and you're not held back anymore. So if SSRIs made her do this, I want to point out, they didn't change her. They basically took away her self-control. They took away her anxiety over the consequences, and that's it. This would have already been in her, and it was probably either catered to or made bigger than it originally was by people whose main argument is it's okay to be violent toward people that you disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
I will blame that before I blame any drugs. And SSRIs, the one thing that SSRIs do is they take away that part of your conscience that is ruled by cause and effect. Aside from moral, they don't take away the moral end, right? If you don't have a moral imperative to do the right thing, but you have a fear imperative to do the right thing, that's what goes away. So she might have been a sociopath or a psychopath that was behaving until she went on SSRIs.
Right. The other thing, and I mean, that's all speculation that I was putting out there anyway, but I think there are some important takeaways too, though. So today, this write-up that Mike J gave me was as of yesterday, but today we learned from Steven Crowder that, because he's the guy who got the story, he was the first one to get it. First of all, it came from someone who was a detective, I believe, or someone who worked on the investigation that was tired of all of the sort of like concealing of the intent, and he basically leaked these documents to Steven Crowder, who then put it out there, and all of the mainstream media scrambled to essentially discredit him, saying, "Oh, Steven Crowder is known for being a insert like list of pejoratives here." As a means to basically make him invalid, which only should make you more curious about the rest of the manifesto. Other people have claimed...
Nobody challenged the authenticity of the documents. No one even tried. No. A lot of them came out a few hours after Crowder's team brought it up, and they went, "Yeah, we can confirm this is true," but... Which makes you wonder, how do you know it's true? It's because you had the documents already.
You saw it, exactly.
Good.
So, yeah. I was just saying that, like, this is important. And also, by the way, there is talk of the investigation team, they're saying they're going to find who leaked the documents. So there's, like, the people who shared this information, which we would not have gotten otherwise, by the way. No matter what they tell you, they're going to tell you, "Oh, we were going to leak it once we were done with all of the whatever." No, They weren't. They weren't going to tell you. Now they have to answer for it, and they're going to try to find and punish the person who leaked it. So just remember, whatever they say...
They're mad someone told you the truth.
Yeah, they're angry because somebody told you the truth. And it's something that you needed to know. So, just so you know, Steven Crowder's he's probably going to be in some trouble. And he's probably going to be looking at whatever they can throw at him to try to get him to give up the name of the person who leaked this stuff to him. Or they're going to go after the entire team of people that were investigating and punish everyone until somebody fesses up. I don't know, but it's going to get ugly behind the scenes. Yeah, that's it. Don't be a commie, because it makes you crazy. And that's all I'm saying. So I got some super chats and stuff that I should definitely go through. Daramuth says, "Hysteria makes the fear go round," for $2. Thank you, sir. And I think I got another one as a super chow from somebody, if I can find it. I'm just scrolling through the chat. Sometimes these things go for it. Richard Bier gives us $5 and says, "What's the action looking like on spinning this incident as another manifestation of masculinity being toxic, because transition made this person act in a toxic manner?" Well, there's a pretty good... That's why I said it's not testosterone that does that, because that's what they're going to try to claim. Because they've already set the stage up for that. They've already talked about this bullshit with what testosterone does to people, and it's not that. It's like, roid rage is... Well, Lindsay understands it better than me, but it's not testosterone. Okay.
Well, roid rage is a little different. It's not... Hormones and steroids are not the same thing. We'll just leave it at that.
All right.
Steroids really can fuck you up. But yeah, when you take somebody that has a problem already and they need treatment A and you give them treatment B, there are two things that happen. Yeah. One, they don't get better. And two, you add another change to the scale. And it doesn't matter whether in somebody else that change might not be a big deal or it might be beneficial. In that person, that change may tip the scale. And that may have been part of what happened here. That's a straw on the camel's back. And it would have happened whether this was a woman getting the wrong hormone for being female or a man getting the wrong hormone for being male. having the wrong hormones, if you are not, if you don't need them, it fucks you up. Having the wrong chemicals in your body that isn't what your body naturally, what's healthy for your body, what your normal biological process needs, it fucks you up.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Zeranx gives us $5 through Super Chow and says, I forget where I read this, but I saw that blind tests of testosterone to women had those who received placebos act more aggressive, while those who were actually given testosterone reported being more even-keeled. So it could be the case that the iron pellet deleter was coming off testosterone, seeing as with men who take steroids, too. They become hyper-aggressive when they're in withdrawal. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
That's a possibility, too.
You can come down from it, and there's like a crash, but also...
There's something else to understand. You look at menopause, for instance, all right? Women who are premenopausal or in the throes of menopause who don't get hormone replacement therapy can become incredibly emotional, even though they actually need estrogen. They're not getting it, their body's not making it, or they're not making it like it was before. And so you have both ends of this. Like, you're supposed to have testosterone as a man, and you don't have enough of it, it fucks you up, right? You're supposed to have estrogen as a woman, and you don't have enough of it, it fucks you up. If you give a man estrogen, it fucks him up because he's not used to the way it affects the body in a woman. And it's reasonable to understand that if you give a woman testosterone, it's going to fuck her up. It may not make her aggressive, but it is going to fuck her up. And if she's already aggressive, like this person obviously was, it's not going to fix that.
Yeah. Okay, I got one more Super Chow. This is from Plain Dane for $5, and they say SSRIs are like alcohol minus the physical effects. It heavily impacts your decision making.
Yeah.
It does. It's messed up. And let me just make sure I'm not missing anything from anyone else. Okay, I think we are good. So that will be the last show, or the last story that we're talking about. So thanks, guys. Does anyone have any final words about any of this stuff?
Maybe we should stop dosing our kids, our teenagers, our young adults with 50 gazillion chemicals. It's not good for them. It's not good for the community. And it results in shit like this. And then we want to turn around and blame nature. There was nothing natural about this situation. Nothing.
Yep.
Quit fucking around with nature.
Leave the kids alone, as somebody once sang. All right, so we're going to wrap it up then. We're going to go into this article here from metro.uk about, I guess, gamer entitlement and the devaluation of the games industry. So if you guys want to join us, go to feedthebadger.com and set up a monthly subscription, and you'll be able to hang out with us in the live chat like you are right now, or even in the actual chat room with us, which I promise will work on Discord. Sorry for all the trouble in the beginning. I'm working on it, and I think that I'll have to do a couple more practice runs to get it right, but I think it's worth it because it does make the stream more fun to watch. At least I think so. So yeah, apologize for the issues there. All right, so we're going to wrap it up there. If you guys liked the video, please smash like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thanks so much for coming on today's episode of HBR News, and we will talk to you all in the next video.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.